Keeping stuff. So welcome to the Manhattan Community Board for Transportation Committee of February. Where is the so all our community board meetings are hybrids with people in the room and then people online. The meeting is being recorded and will be available on YouTube as soon as the meeting is finished. And I guess that's it. Am I missing, Janine, am I missing a very important announcement?
No, you're good.
Okay, all right. So we are going to start hoping that one more member shows up. If that doesn't happen, what we'll do is take a consensus and then whatever we recommend will be taken to the full board as new business. And it will be voted then. But in the meantime, we'll do the consensus. So our agenda today, as we are starting with two presentation and vote on street co-naming. And the first one is a street co-naming application for 15th Street and 9th Avenue in honor of Irwin Cohen. So who is here to present? You all, okay.
Should I come sit?
No, why don't you come
Right.
here
Perfect.
and tell us, your name
Sure.
and your application and.
Well, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry you don't have quorum. I wish I could represent. I'm Jonathan Zucker. We have quorum.
Oh, with quorum. That's it.
Right.
No technique of starting dinner. Right,
No, I told the guy downstairs.
I know.
His iPad is not working.
Right. Everything is breaking, right, I know,
Exactly.
that's what David said. They didn't put us on notice of that stuff. Okay, this goes here, and this goes there, and we can make little notes. So
Thank you.
tell us,
Sure. I'm Jonathan Zucker.
oh, we're going to go around the room.
Absolutely.
Say our names. So
Okay.
I'm Christine Berthet, I'm the co-chair of Transportation Committee.
Greg Lambert, architect, urban designer.
Sandra Miller, member of the committee.
Rodney Washington, member.
Tina Nelson, member.
Alan Austin, member from Chelsea. Dave Warren, member.
And you want to tell us your name while you're,
I'm Cindy Zuckerbrad, I'm his mother.
that's a big job.
And I'm Cohen, Cohen's daughter, I'm very
all right.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
My wife may approach and enter in the
yeah,
middle of this, but I'm Jonathan Zuckerbrad. I'm one of 17 grandchildren of Irwin's, and my son is one of his 14 great grandchildren. So I just wanted to take a couple moments to say a few words. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have too. So I'm here today to formally propose that this committee co-name the corner of 15th Street and 9th Avenue, Irwin B. Cohen Way, to honor the visionary developer who turned the former National Biscuit Company plant into the iconic Chelsea market. From the long forgotten area where the first Oreo was made, Mr. Cohen saw an opportunity to create a thriving market. He helped vendors create a new business model, encouraging them to serve retail customers and also sell wholesale goods. The creation of a buzzing market on the ground floor helped Mr. Cohen recruit world-class businesses to office space on upper floors, including Major League Baseball Productions, NY1, the Food Network, and Oxygen Network. Office tenants commingled in the market, steady foot traffic brought new vendors to the market, and the community then flourished. The meatpacking district was transformed. But in gaining support from the neighborhood for this application, I learned that there were so many more important, more impactful moments that Mr. Cohen that far outweigh the commercial success of Chelsea Market. Lenny Lemmer, who grew up in Fulton Houses and later became a close friend of Mr. Cohen's, told me that he visited his mother once during the holidays and noticed that everyone received holiday turkeys free of charge. Mr. Cohen started that program in Fulton Houses, which still runs to this day. After our country was attacked on 9/11, several government agencies lost all communications in New York City. While he was unable to get back into the country and grounded in Prague, Mr. Cohen arranged to meet with representatives from the NYPD the moment he landed at JFK. Upon landing, he brought the NYPD group straight to Chelsea Market and showed them space to create a new intelligence center. As Chauncey Parker, who was then working for the US Attorney's Office and coordinating with the NYPD, said, I don't know how much rent we can pay, and I don't know when I can get this approved by the government. We don't even have a contract. Then, as he said, like a scene from the movie, Chauncey recalled Mr. Cohen saying, this is our contract. We'll work out the details later. Within months, more law enforcement task forces moved their headquarters to Chelsea Market. The DEA Strike Force, the US Marshals Fugitive Task Force, and the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. There's one common word his friends used to describe Mr. Cohen: hatred. Mr. Cohen was a true New Yorker, born, raised, and died here. New York City literally educated him, from Tilden High School in Brooklyn to New York University, and then back to Brooklyn for law school. But most important, in his final years, he learned everything in Central Park, bird watching. There's no doubt that Mr. Cohen was many different things to many different people, but to me, my siblings, and my cousins, he was simply the greatest grandpa we could have ever imagined. And in his final days, when he knew the end of his life was near, he told his three daughters, my mom, my Aunt Cheryl with my hair, and my Aunt Kathy, who's probably watching elsewhere, be kind and always find ways to make life better for others. That was the Irwin B. Cohen way. And that is what I believe we should name the corner of 15th Street and North Avenue.
Okay. So anybody, you read the policy, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you. I think you said it all. I think it was 1999, 1998, and Mr. Cohen held a community meeting at the market, for tenants. And he's big imposing fellow. And you could see by the way he spoke and by, what he envisioned, that he did have vision. And he was one of several, people from Chelsea that changed the complexion. Those who changed the west side, and created Hudson Park, Mr. Cohen who created the market. So one thing I remember is sort of, I think I remember him saying this, he said, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna rent all this space at $1 a square foot. And that's how we're gonna get started. So I think, he was a visionary, did change the complexion. And as a former student of Tilden High School, so
Wow.
certainly, and you certainly rename that and make a way for it. So, I have one question. Sure. Where was the name?
Beverly Road.
Oh,
I have the address.
Doctor's Row.
No.
Pardon
No, it looks like an attached house.
That's good.
I forgot I can look up the address.
No, but that's okay.
Okay.
He lived on Beverly Road.
I said Beverly Road. Do you know
Yeah.
the address?
Not handy. I can get it in a moment though.
I have it somewhere.
May I just say something? I am another daughter. I am Cheryl Cohen Efron, and I was lucky to be Irwin's partner in the development of Chelsea Market. And you are so right about that space. We called it the public space, and it was space we wanted to be available to anyone in the community who had a reason to gather. And in its best times, it was a place where exactly that happened. And those are very happy memories for me personally. I know those were the days my father, Irwin Cohen, was most proud of Chelsea Market and what it meant to the neighborhood.
So let me ask you some question. Is why now?
He just died, less than 2 months ago. Yeah, he died on, thank you, I appreciate it. He died on December 18th. He was buried on December 21st, which is not only the winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year, but it was his wedding anniversary. And my grandmother died 7 years now earlier, so they're together again on their wedding anniversary. So
Okay.
the answer for why now is as soon as we can do it, this would be the most amazing honor for him. And yeah, I can't think of a better way to honor him.
And so his association with Chelsea and Chelsea Market, is that only the Chelsea Market, or he had other activities in Chelsea, other investment, other, interactions?
I can't speak to any of the other investments or interactions, and Cheryl, you're happy to
So Chelsea Market, when the buildings were purchased, was 18 buildings. It was then became what we think of as Chelsea Market between 9th Avenue and 10th Avenue. But those buildings were all combined. And then the building behind it that was between 10th Avenue and 11th Avenue was the last of those buildings. It was 1,500,000 square feet all put together. But that was not only his only investment in Chelsea, but his pride and joy. And his office was on the ground floor. I don't know if you ever remember seeing a bunch of barber chairs when you went through the market itself, but that was the office. And anyone could come in and give an idea about what should happen there or a complaint if they were unhappy about what was going on there. It was truly an open door. And that was where he resided most of the time, except when he wasn't with my mother further uptown. He was not a resident in his home address, but it was very much his residence for a good number of his years. And I would think he would say his exciting years.
From when to when?
1994 until he somewhat retired, I would say in 2013, I believe.
Okay. And so I was looking at all the documents. Do you have the sign-on list? Or?
Yeah, we had 225 signatures.
Okay.
We also had, I think, 15 letters of support. So we had folks from the FBI, the DEA, various joint task forces, Fulton Houses, a couple tenants in Chelsea Market, and I believe the head of the High Line recently sent them as well. Yeah, so it was a pretty amazing experience seeing that support.
So it's all amazing, and I'm all in favor. I just want to tell you that the board is usually reluctant to give second sign, okay? Which is why we have a policy and we try to, I'd be happy to bring it to the full board. I just want to warn you that this is not a guarantee, because we just said that there are some members of the board who really want to have a very high bar. This is a high bar, but very high bar on, having secondary signs. Yes.
Does anybody in your family descendants currently live in the Community Board 4 area?
In Community Board 4, I don't think currently. I think as of a few years ago, there were a couple, but right now, I don't recall.
Right.
Move it.
Yeah. Oh,
Just for clarity.
Quinn lived on 57th, sorry, he lived on 57th between 6th and 7th, so just outside of your board.
Right. Yeah.
Just for clarity's, for the last 11 years, has he done anything with relation to anything at that corner?
Nothing commercial that I know of, other than spending a ton of time going down there and seeing former tenants, friends. I think there are still a ton of security guards that are working there that remembered him. The last time I walked through there with him right before he died. So in terms of commercial projects, no, he died at 90. So he kind of slowed down a little bit, but he took the bus and the subway till the day he died. So that's how he got down.
Christine, one quick question for you. This is the full board or this is the second?
Full board.
Full board, okay. I don't know anything about your grandfather. The first thing I can tell you, I moved to Chelsea in 1998 while I was still a graduate student. And one of the few places in Chelsea that I came to know about was Chelsea Market.
Wow.
Right. So it's been, also it happened to be on my bike path, like full stage, you couldn't come across things. Anyway, how many short of it is? It's remarkable undertaking, purchasing all of the buildings and combining them into true public space that I'm going to use the word on the light. It used to be, now it's become totally commercialized, owned by Google, but it still is a remarkable place. It used to be much more remarkable and more of a neighborhood place. And I think that sort of always will remain landmark.
Yeah.
So I think
was it set up in 94? Chelsea
Right
Market?
around there, yeah, I think that's when they initially purchased
It opened
and-
in 97. We couldn't get a mortgage. There was no bank that wanted to lend on such a crazy idea. So what we did was take over the property and just manage it as best we can. And tenants who had never paid rent decided they wanted to stay and were paying rent and making things. It was a great manufacturing building, which is what the core of it was. So we were able to use the money from the tenants who were manufacturing, who were there before we bought the building, and pay for the improvements that were done in the ground floor that became Chelsea Market. And all of the tenants that were ultimately, Amy's Bread, Manhattan Fruit, the Lobster Place, were all in the neighborhood. We just aggregated them together and gave them much better space. And as they say, taught them how to become retailers so they could produce in the back and do their distribution around the perimeter of the building. But they could sell retail to all the neighbors down the center. And that way they didn't have to wait for their hotel and restaurant customers to pay them on 30 or 60-day credit. And it really kept them in business and they were able to employ more people. It's just always interesting to me. We never thought about advertising because we knew as long as we had the highest quality food products and the lowest possible prices, people in the neighborhood would come. So it was really built for Chelsea and for people who could walk there.
Mhm. Okay, so do we have a motion here?
Oh, Christine, before you vote, there is someone in the public that has their hand up.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
bring up-
Gotta-
Maren Langford. 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so Maren and Sally have come over.
Hello, Mary.
Hello, thank you so much for having me this evening. I am joining tonight on behalf of Alan Van Capel, who is Executive Director of Friends of the Highline. He had hoped to be here himself, but I'm happy to be here in his stead to read the letter of support that he shared with the committee. I'll just go ahead and do that then. Dear Transportation Committee of Community Board 4, I write today in strong support of the street co-naming application for 15th Street and 9th Avenue in honor of lifelong New Yorker Irwin Cohen. Irwin's bold and innovative vision for Chelsea Market had a transformative effect on the west side of Manhattan. When it opened its doors in 1997, the Highline dream was still there, years on the horizon. It was Cohen who first saw how the forgotten industrial infrastructure of New York's past could be reimagined and reused in creative ways that would revitalize our neighborhood. Where most saw derelict eyesores ripe for demolition, Cohen saw potential. His record of transforming these sites while maintaining the essence of these spaces so that their histories would remain relevant should be celebrated. The Cohen family have also been longtime friends and supporters of the Highline, advancing the preservation of the historic Highline and helping maintain it as a space for the community to this day. Irwin himself noted that the development of the Highline took away some income from the Chelsea Market property, but there was more to the city than just income. He had a focus on the good that the Highline and his work revitalizing West Side spaces would bring to New Yorkers and the visitors to our great city. In addition to conveying my support as the executive director of Friends of the Highline, I send this support as a New Yorker who believes in honoring those who have come before us and who have safeguarded and celebrated New York's rich history, not out of requirement or obligation, but out of respect and faithfulness to the ongoing narrative of our city. I am especially thankful to Irwin for prioritizing a sense of belonging in the neighborhood and creating spaces for people to convene and celebrate life on the West Side. I hope you will approve this suggested co-naming and recommend approval of this motion. Respectfully, Alan Van Capel.
Thank you. Did you send us the testimony? Could you do that by?
Yeah. Yes, Christine, I put it into the Dropbox.
Oh, we
Yes.
got it? Okay.
Thank you.
We had so many, I couldn't read it again. Sally, you're next. All right.
Evening, committee members. Thank you for reviewing. I'm Sally Greenspan. I'm president of the Council of Chelsea Block Associations. And I thank you for reviewing this request to honor Irwin Cohen. Council of Chelsea Block Associations voted unanimously to support this co-naming. And we wrote a letter endorsing it. That said, I wanted to take advantage of this occasion to speak personally in support of the family's request. When the request was originally posed to CCBA, we only had reference material and an obituary to introduce us to Irwin. But during the process of letter writing and learning about Irwin Cohen from family members and other neighborhood people who knew him well, I was really able to appreciate and understand who the man was. His vision and his generosity contributed greatly to the healthy growth of Chelsea. Irwin Cohen has had an everlasting impact on our community, and the opportunity to honor him should not be missed. I hope you vote to support the request. Thank you for reviewing it.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, so anybody else, Janine?
No one else.
I'm sorry?
No one else.
Thank you. So do we have a motion? Somebody make a motion? Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Gwen, you can raise your hand if you want to tell us to participate. I know this is confusing. Okay, opposed? Present non-eligible? Did you vote? I didn't see your hand. Yes, okay, all right. So this passes and will be presented at the full board. And I just suggest that at the full board, you bring people to speak.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
would be happy to.
Thank you. Also, if we have your contact, can you send your contact to the office, right?
Yes, Janine has it, yes.
Because when I create the letter, I
Mhm.
may need some detail.
Great, yes, Janine has it, so.
Okay. Very good.
When is the full board meeting?
The full board is the first Wednesday of March,
Great.
and that would be,
I think it's the 8th or something.
uh,
I think it's the 8th, but I'll check.
March
the calendar.
6th.
Oh, six.
March 6th, March 6th.
So I can bring as many people as I can gather?
All the grandkids.
I mean,
Okay. All the
you
great.
know, the way it
Oh,
works is that you have, there is a public session,
Right.
and there is 2 minutes for each person to speak. If you have 2,000 people, will be only 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then during the business session, there is, people take a vote.
Great.
So it's kind of disconnected, not like here.
Got it.
Yeah, one-on-one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Very good. Thank you, and, again, we're sorry for.
Thank you very much, but this is the most amazing way we could consider even honoring him, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, okay, so let me write down the vote. Okay, so the second, street co-naming application is, presented by Avenue School for 25th Street and 10th Avenue in honor of Richie Henderson. Who is going to present?
I'll start with the presentation, and then I'll pass it off to a few other special individuals here who will share. And
Okay.
thank you so much to the committee for having us. For those who don't know me, some of you might know me as well. My name is Morgan Jones, and I am the Director of Community Engagement and Partnerships at Avenues. I'm also the Senior Associate Director of Enrollment, and I'm also an Avenues parent. And I've been connecting with the community board for quite some time now. So thank you so much, and it's good to see you all. We're going to have our head of school speak briefly about this application. She'll start us off, and then we'll go into a faculty member from our school, Marina here, who will also speak from the perspective of our faculty and staff. Nick Lorette, who's also a Chelsea resident, but also one of
I'm
our.
sorry, hold on one second. Yeah, go ahead.
Great. We'll also have Nick Lorette who will speak, who's one of our represents our families in our school. And then finally, Janine will help us show a video from a current senior in our school named Mia, who will share a little bit of perspective and memories of Richie and her support of co-naming this street after Richie Henderson on 25th Street and 10th Avenue. So without further ado, I will pass it to our head of school, Dr. Judy Fox.
Thank you, Morgan. And thank you, members of the committee, for giving us this opportunity to address you this evening. A special shout out to Morgan Jones for collecting, organizing, and disseminating to you all of the communications and materials that the board, full board, will need eventually to make a decision. I believe that members of Richie Henderson's family are joining this evening, and we're really glad to be able to express our love for Richie in their presence. We sent you quite a lot of material to review, but don't worry, even though we're in school, there won't be a test on it, at least not until after the meeting. No, just kidding. Even without reading everything we sent, I'm pretty sure that you will remember the media coverage of the subway shooting of a passenger who was trying to de-escalate a conflict on the train a few months ago. That hero was Richie, who lost his life in that effort. What is unique and also remarkable about the communications we sent is that they come from not just Richie's family or school colleagues or students or parents who are united and emphatic in supporting this co-naming effort. They also come from stores, from businesses in the community, neighborhood residents, people who simply passed Richie's corner on their ways to work, all of whom were touched and actually elevated by Richie's warmth, his recognition of them and his care. My personal story, very briefly, with Richie began in 2020. You will remember the year of COVID when the school stayed open, and I was stationed by the student arrival door on 25th and 10th, which is, of course, where Richie was crossing guard. And we spent hours each week welcoming students in the morning and seeing them off at the end of the day. And I would often just linger to chat with Richie. First, we exchanged a word or two, and then more detailed stories about our lives in and out of school. We became very good friends and enjoyed our connection to each other over these last 4 years. We all wore masks that year, but Richie's smile crinkled his eyes in a way that made us know he was happy to see us, and everybody felt that way about him. The Avenues community is so committed to honoring Richie's memory that within weeks of his passing, they contributed bountifully, well into the 6 figures, to a fund to help Richie's family going forward. I think the materials we sent speak for themselves. I know tonight, as Morgan said, there are a few additional voices to share their recollections and support of this co-naming proposal. So first up is my colleague, Raina Gilchrist. Raina.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you to members of the community board. My name is Raina Gilchrist, and I have been a teacher at Avenue since we opened in 2012. Originally a 4th grade teacher, which is when I first met Richie. And now I'm a Spanish immersion specialist, and I'm also a parent of a nursery student. 25th Street and 10th Avenue will forever, in my mind, be Richie's corner. For the last decade, I have greeted Richie, and Richie greeted me right back as I crossed from east to west and from north to south. He was our protector. He was our guardian angel. He was the heartbeat of that corner. And he knew every single name of every single student and faculty and staff member in our building and beyond. He was truly the smile of 25th Street and 10th Avenue. I remember when I was a 4th grade teacher and I would take my students to recess, no matter what the weather. It could be boiling hot, pouring rain, snow, sleet. Rich never complained and was always thrilled and excited to be outside with the students. And the students were equally as excited to be outside with him. It was a fist bump, a high five, and then not just helping us safely cross the street, he would stay and play football and tag with each of the students and gave the boys, especially the boys in my class, something that I wasn't able to give them, which was a true, real, rough
game of football that only Rich was able to do. He was a meaningful presence in all of our lives every single day. And when my daughter started at Avenues last year, what I made sure to do was take a picture of Richie and add it to her welcome and book that her teachers had made, because she needed to know that this was a person whose name she needed to learn and greet every single day, because he was that important of a member in our community. I am now going to pass it off to Nick Lorette, who is not only an Avenues parent, but also a member of the Chelsea community.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Hey, thank you for having me. My name is Nicholas Lorette, and I'm an Avenues parent, as well as the treasurer for our parent association. My wife, Brittany, and I live on 23rd Street with our 4 children, Lincoln, Lawrence, Blake, and Parker. All 4 are Avenues students, and Parker has been at Avenues for 8 years. I'm not sure how crossing guards are assigned corners, but for the past 8 years, the intersection of 25th and 10th was Rich's corner. And for the past 8 years, Rich consistently greeted our family, as he did for every child who crossed 25th Street. As you may know, Rich won an award on inclusion at the school in 2022. I nominated Rich for this award, and in my nomination, I wrote that Rich should get the award not because of one specific achievement, but rather because of what Rich did year after year, day after day, which was connecting with every single child who crossed this corner. I also wrote separately to Judy that outside of her and maybe a handful of leaders, Rich likely knew the most student names and remembered details about their lives out of anyone at the school, which is obviously quite remarkable for someone in his role. On a more personal note, my kids loved Rich. Our 10-year-old Parker loved Rich. I loved to give Rich high fives, and we even dug up an old photo of Parker giving Rich high fives nearly 8 years ago. Last year, Parker fell at the playground during recess and needed stitches, and it was Rich who carried him back to school to see the nurse. For our girls, Blake and Lawrence loved giving Mr. Rich hugs, and our youngest, Lincoln, got to know Rich from his stroller. Lincoln turned 3 last month, but for the past year, he always screamed, Mr. Rich, at the top of his lungs as we approached 25th Street. Rich made kids of all ages and parents like my wife and I feel safe and cared for. He touched so many lives from his corner, and he embodied the definition of community. To me, it only makes sense to have something to memorialize his impact. I thank you for your time, and I'll pass it back to Morgan, and you can share a video from a student. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. And so we're going to go to a video from Mia, who's a senior at Avenues. She also is a writer for The Highliner, which is our school newspaper, and she's writing an article about Nick and collecting information about Nick. And she's been at Avenues ever since Richie was started at Avenues as a crossing guard. I believe the sound might be down.
Sound is off.
Okay, sorry, I think I have to unmute. Give me 1 moment. Can you hear it now? No?
No.
I'm not sure what the issue is. Morgan, do you have it open on your end?
I can open it. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can.
Okay, let's try it. Let's see if you can do it.
Morgan, I've got it teed up. Oh, you have it also? Okay.
Okay, I'm going to play it now.
Avenues for 10 years. Hi, my name is Mia. I'm a senior and I've been at Avenues for 10 years. I came to Avenues in 2014 after moving from Seattle, the same year that Richie joined Avenues too. He made my transition to Avenues so much easier just by, always saying hi to me in the mornings and, asking me about my days in the afternoon. By doing this, he really made me feel like I was a part of the community and I belonged, and that made the transition so much easier. And I know that he developed close relationships with many other students as well. he really wanted to make everybody feel special and feel appreciated. Throughout the years, I used to wear this Seahawks beanie every day to school during the winter, and he used to call me Miss Seattle, and that nickname carried throughout the years. And
It's Morgan.
Oh, it's Morgan
Where's
himself.
Morgan?
Morgan did got disconnected. Janine, you want to try again to share?
Sure, let me try and see.
If you like, I could, Janine, I could also share it. I have it queued up.
Sure, have it up. Sure.
Oh,
Okay.
Morgan is back.
Oh, here's Morgan.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I think I got cut off. I'll see if I can try and load that up for everybody once again. I apologize.
hi, my name is Mia. I'm a
Okay.
1
So you
second.
can-
Okay.
senior and I've been at Avenues for 10 years. I came to Avenues in 2014 after moving from Seattle,
You
the
can
same
move
year
it
that
up.
Richie joined Avenues too. He made my transition to Avenues so much easier just by, always saying hi to me in the mornings and, asking me about my days in the afternoon. By doing this, he really made me feel like I was a part of the community and I belonged, and that made the transition so much easier. And I know that he developed close relationships with many other students as well. He really wanted to make everybody feel special and feel appreciated. Throughout the years, I used to wear this Seahawks beanie every day to school during the winter, and he used to call me Miss Seattle, and that nickname carried throughout the years. And, his kindness and his care and the way he made other people feel is why I support naming 25th and 10th after Richie. His legacy is so profound, and anyone that got to know him, anyone that crossed that corner every day like I did, got to know who he was and knew that he was such an incredible person. And I think we need to honor his legacy and honor what made him such a good person by naming this after him, and remind people in the community about who he was and how they should emulate all the things that made him so incredible. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you to the board, and any questions or thoughts that you have for us, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Do you have any questions before we go to the public?
I guess I have a quick question. I heard everybody talking about his work as a crossing guard. I'm curious if he's lived in the community or in that area, or his work extended further outside of his responsibilities with the school.
Yeah, so I'm happy to share that. Actually, one of the things that he did was not just specifically about the school, but he actually helped everybody cross the street from the school. After Richie had passed away, the Elliott Chelsea houses called me directly, Ms. Waters, and she shared how much all the members of the community have seen him cross the street. There are some nearby schools in the area where he would help them cross the street often. The GoFundMe that was mentioned by Dr. Fox, there were about 2,000 people that signed that GoFundMe, and some of the comments came out where there are members of the community who he would help cross the street along that very busy intersection around 25th and 10th. So while he did not live in that area, he lived in Brooklyn, he was around serving the entirety of the community that were crossing that area frequently, and made many connections. Again, as Dr. Fox mentioned, multiple businesses knew him very well. During his times where he wasn't crossing the street, he would be going to those businesses, purchasing food, things of that nature, making real connections with many of our neighbors in the immediate area. And they all knew who he was, from the parking garage nearby to the car repair shop to some of the art studios, and even back to many other residents that passed by the area. So he did a lot to connect with our community. He'd walk down over to Clement Clark Moore Park and back with many of our students and families during that time. So his connection to the wider community was very great.
Yes.
Sure. Is there anything within the school that's happening to remember him? Conference room, the doorway?
Yeah, so there's quite a few things that happened. So the day immediately after, when we were on break, actually during that time, when Richie died, and so that following day that we returned from a quick break, students set up a makeshift memorial right on the corner of 25th and 10th as well. A lot of that was also covered by the media as well. Our own school came up with a memories of Richie email, and many of those letters and emails you actually have where multiple families, students, faculty, and staff were submitting letters to us as well too. There's also many other connections that parents have made and outreach to the family. And then we've also done our own outreach to the family where we shared flowers and other remembrances of him as well too. And so this will be one of the few ways that we would do this, because he's on that corner where he's at now, and that's where he was based, and he wasn't just limited to serving within our school, but also served outside of it as well. And so that's why our reason for a request and for Richie to have this in his honor for that street corner.
Sure. So again, I'm sorry, anything lasting in the school, like a plaque on the wall, a conference room being named after him, the doorway?
Thank you. Not yet. This is Judy speaking. Hi. Not yet, but that is certainly something that is on our agenda to consider. But Richie, as Morgan so eloquently said, I think people really do associate that corner with him. I don't know if it would be as meaningful to kids or adults in the building as it would outside the building, but we just can't think of enough ways to honor him. This man had more impact than any other single individual I can name at the moment.
Yes.
So I think this is a little bit different than what in terms of the naming that we usually are accustomed to in a way. But Morgan mentioned Clement Clark Moore Park, and I'm involved with that. And I would often see this gentleman, big fellow, bringing the kids over to the park and staying with them, and he had a lot of responsibility on that corner, because when at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a lot going on over there. But I think in a way he somewhat symbolizes something more than just what it meant to the students. I mean, for someone to step in to a situation as he did, which he would have done on the corner, and he would have done it on 24th Street. He would have done it anywhere. I think it's more of a recognition for somebody, a New Yorker, who stepped in to try to resolve the situation, was somewhat tragically affected by it. I think he personifies everything that you said about New Yorkers and who we are and what we try to do. Thank you.
Okay,
And I'll just add that, so I live across the street from Chelsea Park, so I used to see him at Chelsea Park, so there's across 10th Avenue.
Janine, can you bring over people from the public who want to speak?
Sure, there's Mike Noble and Coral Dawson.
So the school is 2 blocks from across the street. That's the park.
Hi, everyone.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Michael Noble first.
Yes, ma'am. I am a member of the board, by the way, but I also happen to live across the street from Avenues. And I knew Richie before he was associated with Avenues, actually. I bumped into him just a couple of weeks before he was shot. Okay. And we spoke for a good bit. It was it's just up the block. And he told me everything that had happened, how he got associated with Avenues and how he was so happy with his new duties, his new role there, you know? And he's just a nice guy, an enlightening person, and not just a crossing guard. This lad was something more than that. And I think that's what everybody here is sort of getting at. He was more than that as an individual. And what Alan says is, if there is a place in this city that's meant to memorialize him as a person, right, it's here. Where else would you do it, right? I knew him, and I really liked the guy, you know, as everyone else did. It is, I was coming home from Chelsea, from Hudson Market today, and all the little, this lunchtime, right? And all the little kids were running at me. I said, oh my God, you know, look at this. I look across the street, and there's a crossing guard. And it just, it hurt me to see someone other than Richie there in front of the school, you know? And so this will be a memory of how I think about him all the time. You know, it is absolutely heartbreaking. So I can preview my vote on the board as yes, indeed. I will vote for this on the board, just as I will for Mr. Cohen, by the way. These are two worthy individuals, and I am proud to be able to be part of this. All right, so I thank you for coming.
Thank you. Corral.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all taking the time to hear this application. So the one, you know, something that may be somewhat overlooked in this is that Richie did not discriminate. He helped everyone across the street. That's why the Chelsea Elliott houses, that's why other people in the neighborhood knew him. Yes, he probably knew from the uniforms or the dress code which kids were actually going to the school. But aside from that, it wasn't like he was doing only a service to those in the school. He was serving the community. And it wasn't because anyone asked him to do that. That's just who he was. And I agree, I had the same feeling today. The buses aren't working this week because, you know, it's a public school holiday, so the OPT buses aren't operating. And so I took my daughter to school this morning, and seeing a new person there who was lovely and, you know, totally professional, do his job, reminded me the difference between doing your job and doing way beyond your job. And the reason I think that we all feel so bereft is because he saw us as individuals. He saw everyone that passed that corner. He interacted with them, not because he was paid to do that, but because everyone saw you, whether you were, you know, 3 years old, whether you were 100 years old. He was going to help you. He was going to interact. There was once on, you know, very cold stretch that I noticed he didn't have gloves. And so I gave him some gloves. I just handed them to him on the way in. It was like, you know, keep warm. And we kind of laughed. And of course, 2 days later, he has no gloves. And I completely laughed at myself. Of course, he gave the gloves to someone else. Like, that's just who he was. And, you know, it was just like, you know, how could I even be so silly to think that he would keep something that he felt was not what he needed? He just was. And, you know, I wrote this in a letter, but my daughter, because it was highlighted that he played with the boys on the playgrounds, et cetera. My daughter's not particularly athletic. She's 10. She's somewhat shy. And she played basketball with him on Friday before he was shot on Sunday. So that conversation on Sunday night to explain to her why such a wonderful human being who always protected everyone could suffer something like that was very difficult. And I do think that it's just not many of our street signs say, okay, this is the New Yorker who you can aspire to be, just because you actually choose to actually see people, see your fellow New Yorker and help them. And so I really think this is a unique application. He's a unique person, but I really hope you consider it seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. Janine, anybody else?
No, that's all.
That's all? Okay. So, you know, it's interesting because I look at the first application and it was about the building and creating a space for people, right? And this application, which is about somebody caring for people and really, you know, including everybody and working for other people, completely dedicating his life to other people. So I just think to me, it's a good way, and having the students and the people from Elliott Chelsea in the future remember that person who was doing so much good is, you know, to me, it's a good thing to do.
I think I agree with you. I think it's not an ordinary man or a simple man who did his job, but he went beyond his job. And I think more often than not, we fail to sort of recognize it, because this building is named after you. Right. Where did you invest?
Right.
What else did you do for the community? No, but he did something for the community. And sometimes I think.
But he touched a lot of people. He touched a lot of people. So I don't know. That's my, yes.
I mean, I'll just play devil's advocate. Okay, I think the guy was amazing. Certainly he deserves a tremendous amount of respect, and someone that I look up to, My only, I guess what's pulling me back a little bit, it's a little bit, I mean, for the first half of the presentation, or for the most of the presentation, there was a focus on the school, his job. That's all I was hearing. And quite honestly, I would have expected that there be a plaque at the school, or for that matter, something like when you mentioned the auditorium, there be something at the auditorium. And given the high level that we look to before we name streets, I was just thinking, well, shouldn't there be a plaque on the school, or shouldn't there be a plaque in the park? But in the street, I'm not so sure. Again, I've heard he helped the community, and I respect that, and that was my hesitation.
No, I think this is a good point. A long time ago, we did a plaque on 17th Street where the little kid was killed by a car. And the same thing was, you know, this is the kid which had touched everybody. It's like everybody said, oh, everybody knew him, everybody was, you know, he was really outgoing, etc. And very good to the community. So I don't know. I can understand the logic of saying, you know, the corner where he was, this corner was 25th Street, right? That was the corner. So I can understand that logic.
Say a couple of things. I think that kind of, I'm both with you and not with you. In the sense that it kind of makes sense to honor him. And I'm in two minds, or we do both, or we do, more importantly, do something in the school, because it's much more permanent and related to his sort of role for the school, much more than public outside. But if there's a way to sort of do that, I don't know exactly whether it's an auditorium or it's a main entrance gate that you name after him, something that is more specific but public at the same time. I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but you follow on, you know, the school has its name and what else.
But at the same time, and your Chelsea is across the street, and they were using the crossing guard all the time, and they were touched by that too. So I don't know. This is.
Did he live in the area?
No.
No, but the other one didn't either.
No, I know, I'm just curious because, so many people knew him from Chelsea in the neighborhood, that's why I was asking that.
Yeah, he was memorable. I mean, I never met him, but I would actually sometimes gauge what time I would arrive. When I would go out to Queens, we would pass each other on the street. He would be getting off the train coming to work. I knew he was going to Avenues because again, I live in Chelsea, directly across the street from the park, and I would see him. So just memorable, I think. I would see his kindness to the kids.
So you knew him,
But not knew him, like I
don't mean new impression.
but when I saw the news and saw his passing, I knew who he was. Again, I would remember him, and again, in my head, when I would have to go to Queens for work, I would catch the E train, and I would look to see if I'm gonna see him, like where he was on the sidewalk, like if he's coming up out of the train, or if he's closer to 10th Avenue, I know how early I'm gonna be to work, like.
That's not, right,
Yeah.
okay.
No, but I'd like to get your feelings.
Hold on.
Do you plan on, maybe, am I allowed to, do you plan on voting for this? Because I mean, since you're someone who has knowledge.
Yeah, I think I am. I mean, I'm willing to take it to the board because if this is, we will test it because I know the other board member. I'm willing to take it to the board. I mean, I'm willing to vote to take it to the board, really.
Well, to your point, this is bigger than just inside, having the plaque inside.
Right.
Because to what Christine mentioned, it's more of a community individual.
Yeah.
So having a plaque inside or having a, which maybe they may do, they may make a room, you know, Richie's room or something, but that doesn't infuse the people who knew him. And having a street name that then keeps the memory in the neighborhood, because, you know.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of
The other
mind.
thing is that he died, I would say, as a hero.
Right.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
really died as a hero.
Yeah,
The guy,
yeah.
the guy took it to the next level.
Yeah.
Trying to separate people and to
Yeah.
keep them aside, and guess what?
Yeah.
He died because of that, which is,
yeah.
you know, really, I mean, I wish more of us would do that, right? Step in the way and do it. So I think that exemplified this. I think I agree, taking it to the board is.
Right, I think it probably be a difficult call, but I think for us, well, I'm willing to, for us to push it right now, we
Yeah.
turn other,
It's
things.
definitely a difficult call, and I think the public presence is important, but where exactly is the question? But if it can be memorialized at the gate of the school or somewhere that is.
Yeah, but the way he died is not at the gate of the
No, it is
school.
not.
Right.
The way he died is in the subway separating people, right?
Right.
So, I mean, to me, it's a little more of a public figure, and it was at the crossing of, you know, Chelsea and Avenue, which is another old, you know, symbolism of, you know, one word and another word. And it was just at the intersection, he was connected to all of them. So, I don't know, I feel.
No, it's a tough one. I think one part of me says,
Right.
the guy was amazing.
Right.
And he did connect with the community and he did something that sort of lost his life too. And how do you celebrate that? Or
It's a tough one.
Right.
it is
It's not easy.
To me, it's easier than the first one.
first,
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know,
Because the first one is like, okay, this was a
The building.
building,
right.
they did the building and, okay. I mean, you know, I can see where, I can see where the way the building was developed was very original and very community based, and it was a lot of benefit, it worked with all the community, etc. But I see this one as well, working with all the community, all the people one by one, he knew their name. To me, that blows my mind, that he knew the names of everybody. It's like,
Can I ask you something? You did mention this girl before. In that case, did we grant the?
yeah,
We did.
yeah.
So this is consistent with
Right,
that.
right. And that was in Chelsea where this little kid was.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no, sad.
And Phyllis and, so anyway, so I think I kind of agree with your point of taking it to the board. Right? Okay, so do we have a motion or, yes? Yes,
I motion.
I second.
okay. All in favor? Yes,
I'm gonna say, I think it's gonna be debated at the board meeting.
Oh, without doubt.
Quite a lot.
yeah,
I mean, we recognize
That's
it,
right.
like we're sort of
Right.
emotionally drawn towards
right.
because of an ordinary man, and I think it kind of makes sense.
But I suggest the board meeting is on March sixth, we just said, right, the first Wednesday. And you can bring people, you know, to speak up and articulate why this is a good idea and make sure that everybody agrees. I mean, again, if you heard before, I said the board, as some members of the board are very strict about second naming and it may not pass, but we'll take it there.
Thank you
And
very
we,
much.
yeah, and we're so sorry for, I feel very bad about this, the loss for the community. This is sometime we'll have a special person, you know.
Thank you. He absolutely died a hero, and he worked with everybody in the community. And we really thank the board here for deliberating and taking this very seriously and listening to all of our thoughts, concerns, and definitely encourage you to read all the letters and insights from everybody with regards to Richie's life. So
But
thank
I
you.
would also encourage you to plan very quickly something inside the school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that this sign.
I took careful note. I appreciate
Yes,
that. Thank
this
you.
sign should be above and beyond whatever is done in the school.
Yeah.
And I think it would be very important to have something being planned for the school when you come to the full board.
Great. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Morgan.
so much.
Thank you very much. Take care, Alan. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay. Not Indian. Okay. All right, so the next item is the NYCHA. So we have currently two EISs going on, right? Just one of them is at the level of scoping, and that's the NYCHA. And the other one is at the level of draft EIS, which is the Port Authority. What's the difference? At the level of scoping, what we are consulting and we are saying, we want you to study this and this and that, to have those special studies being part of the study. So we are essentially recommending to study certain things, and that's what the exercise was. And Rodney took the lead on that. And so Rodney, why don't you summarize your recommendation for transportation, which will be integrated into the overall submission of Community Board 4 from the Land Use Committee, right?
I couldn't find it online. I was looking for the scope.
The what?
Whatever the report was.
No, for the scope, no, it was not in the folder.
Okay.
But this afternoon, we put in the draft from.
Oh, I couldn't.
Yes.
That's what we
Yes.
were talking.
Yes. We put it here in the folder because I realized it had not been put in, so.
May I say something very quickly? This was discussed, I'm on the policy, and you can, so this was discussed yesterday at Chelsea Land Use Committee. And it was a pretty robust concentration. I don't know if you do a problem there, yes.
That's all.
Yes. So there was pretty robust concentration, and most of the focus was considered not actually approved, disapprove the draft EIS, but give comments as to what all we want to see.
But isn't it the same thing?
There was something of more contention to it.
Okay.
The bigger contention was that we are sort of looking at things, assuming,
And behind you, do you have spare to pass behind?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and we have any spare for behind?
Yeah.
Here's one, unfortunately.
So all I'm saying that we should look at that letter as well, not right now.
Right.
But when it's ready.
Yeah.
We should request for the.
Right,
Commission
okay.
committee to see, because there's a law in.
Well, yeah, we'll get it. So, Rodney.
Sure.
Take it away.
Sure, yeah, so I was assigned a task from the co-chairs of the Chelsea Land Use. So what I did was I sort of looked at some of the older EIS reports to see what was asked and then took lists, but I also reached out and had a meeting with Christine, which I will say was like having a master's class in transportation. No. She was, because I had, no, stop it. So I.
He's
Oh,
the master.
Okay, I had, but so I had actually did a first draft through, and it was a reaction to the EIS that I read from NYCHA, and I could see a difference after speaking with Christine, because she gave me the detail, the nuance that made it ours, meaning, for example, she said, no, you should actually ask for a cumulative of 9th Avenue, not just 14th, because what will happen is they'll come back and say, yes, there's congestion on 14th, but there's nothing on 15th, 16th, 17th. And then talking to her, I live on 10th Avenue. I was like, oh yeah, I have congestion going into the Lincoln Tunnel. So then I created one and said, test it. I also pulled from all of our meetings and said, over the next few years, we are gonna be inundated with projects, 42nd Street, the 9th Avenue, yeah, Port Authority, the tunnel, and all these things could actually happen at the same time. So to put the onus on NYCHA and related, I asked them to look at what would be the impact if these things started to occur at the same time. We also have the 10th Avenue bike lane, we have the super sidewalk. There's also the Chelsea Edition, which is dedicated to the senior citizens. And there's the 27th Street, which is a kind of weird street because you can't come to it on 9th Avenue. It's between the park and where the senior citizens live. So I asked a special dedication for them to look at how will this affect the senior citizen. Also, other generator, generators with respect to, they're gonna have at this, they're planning 2 health centers, supermarkets. What are they gonna do? Also to push for more sort of bike-friendly pedestrian. Currently, there's 95 parking assignments. They're gonna increase it to 1, but I'd like to see if we could push them to decrease, because that's, as according to Christie, that's what our committee is about, public parking. So those are some of the things that I pulled from our conversation in the meeting. And I'm open to any other suggestions. Again, I think it's more about adding and being inclusive, right?
Yeah, so on the parking, it just crossed my mind that we should talk about putting it underground and having electric plugs, making sure that they have electric.
Yeah, I think if we want them to study parking, we should be.
Underground?
Well, first it should be underground. Right now, the parking is occupying a huge space, right? So they should be, as they are building new buildings, they should put the parking underground. And they should equip them with, electric power, right? Because that's something we have advocated for.
Are we proposing more than required?
We should,
Or just required?
no, and they're only adding 1 parking spot.
Right.
So we should probably ask for an analysis of how to make this development fit in with broader goals of the neighborhood, and maybe point to some.
Right,
some,
and that would be.
like plans that by us or other groups to improve other non-driving transportation in the neighborhood. Rather than asking for a parking impact study, because it is 1 parking spot, so they're gonna say no impact.
No, but right there, just suggesting that they put it underground, I mean, that would be terrible if they left it off ground, right? It's just.
The way the work was broken up was each one was given a task. I actually looked at urban design and.
Right.
Sort of transportation issue
Right.
because of pedestrian sort of.
That goes together,
on
right?
that as well. And there were a bunch of things discussed, even in terms of looking at the pedestrian flows along the avenue versus the streets, widening of sidewalks as well was proposed, because that's going to happen. It's already happening with 9th Avenue.
Yeah, I didn't see that, the widening of the sidewalk.
Not yet, that was my comment.
No, but what we did is we asked for a study of pedestrian on 9th Avenue. So that hopefully out of that comes.
Right.
And, I haven't had a chance to look at this in detail, but I've heard different plans about the demolishing and non-demolishing. It's a huge controversy. I mean.
Yeah, but that's not what, we are talking here about the case, the EIS, which is in front of us, right?
About the transportation, but the thing is, just one is one, because you're an architect. I was reading some French architects saying that when you demolish a building, it's environmentally horrendous to do this.
That's exactly what I was trying to tell you, Christine. The biggest contention is actually asking them for a fixed plan, which is hybrid retention of existing buildings and adding more density. So that is something that they never looked at.
Say that again?
Basically, it's a hybrid option where you do very selective demolition.
Right.
Of the building that.
Oh, yes.
And then you keep the original density in place, and you do perimeter high density, low rise.
So we are asking them.
That is another sort of law, major content. That's what the letter from CLU is going back to NYCHA. The NYCHA is going to get it.
So they're all going to have to do
They're gonna have to
alternate
do that.
options.
Yes,
Right.
and we are not voting on EIS, because it's a draft EIS, so we can ask them everything we want. to
Right,
ask.
right.
But our major contention with CMU brought up, and how we will actually concur with that, because it's being sort of done in coordination with each other. And that is the kind of big issue. At the same time, the committee states that this is an EIS, we are not voting yes or no, right? Because they don't need our vote. We can give comments assuming one of those scenarios will play out, what all we want to see from transportation point of view.
Right. No, I got it.
So absolutely right, we can say that we want absolute pedestrian study taking place. The number of, the population is going to shift up quite a bit. And that's going to change the.
2/3, right?
Yeah. Each location, right.
Another thing is I was.
Can I say one last thing?
Okay.
One last thing is that one of the biggest problems, which you know, Christine, yourself, NYCHA claims that they have approval from towns. They have never, ever.
No, we heard that.
Yeah.
We
The
heard
survey, you're talking about the survey.
The famous survey.
Yeah, and that's being asked for exactly, and that's a big.
Okay.
There's
There's a bigger problem.
It was right twice tonight. That's a record. That's a record. Go for three.
I think another thing we may want to ask is to close certain streets. Because I looked at the streets in Fulton and in like 27th Street. What's the point of having that street there? That street goes from nowhere to nowhere.
The Parks Department.
Uh,
I think the Parks Department uses it.
Well, fine, but this is not like, this is not, right now it's a parking lot. People are parking.
I thought it was to help the senior citizens, because they come out on 27.
On 27.
The
Right.
Chelsea edition, and I think there's like 190.
No, what she's saying is right, I mean, she's not saying you have to stop all traffic.
Right.
You can make it restricted traffic.
Right.
Okay.
So
And that's 27, and there is another one, which is earlier, down there, which really doesn't go through to the highway. It stops. So you could say, okay, let's take this one and let's make it a shared street, right? So we could suggest to have creation of shared streets. So there is, in this whole complex, you are going to have more space for pedestrians.
And also, I think along the park with the street, even though on 27th Street, it's nice, it's very calming because it's by the park.
right.
So, yeah, we can up the utilization of it, because it's not being to its full peaceful potential.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
So, but making it very clear about it, we do not propose making super blocks. We want the streets to remain,
Right,
but they become
shared streets.
Absolutely.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. So I think this is the opportunity.
27 doesn't cross, you don't come over that avenue, you just go in and out. You walk.
Yes.
Do we want that? I mean, if they're gonna do a giant construction project on a street that doesn't go anywhere, maybe they should just make it open space, like put grass or build a pathway, make it an actual, like,
One day
intentional
was
public space
mentioning
rather
that it's
than.
being used for the senior building. So if it is being used for a senior building.
But is it
you
being
don't
used for driving or is it being
Yes.
used for?
Yeah, I think they come around to pick them up, to
Right.
take them, I don't see it being
Okay.
used
So- so,
often,
you know, you
except for
don't
like
want-
down at the park, people.
Parks has,
and the
Parks
police.
has
And then-
has an installation there.
Right, and if Parks is using it for,
vehicles.
maintenance, then you
And the
say,
police.
okay.
And the police.
At least what you don't want is the cars to come there.
Right.
But the other things you could.
I'm sorry, Christian, so I should ask that it be a more restrictive, or what'd you get?
No, you want to say expand the pedestrian space
Okay.
by creating shared streets on 27, and then I have to give you the other one,
Okay.
there's another one.
Well, 25th
Right,
goes west,
yes,
25th
but
goes
that's
all
a
the way
busy street.
through.
the business,
25th is a very busy street.
I know,
So, because he goes,
No, but I
it
think
goes
there is
to
another one.
Lebanon and they swing around.
24, okay.
Penn, you're thinking by Penn South, the
Right.
curves around, like 8th and 9th.
Well, we don't have to select one, we just want to tell them to do it.
Explore.
Starting 27.
Don't name the streets, say explore shared streets options where applicable.
To expand the, yeah.
Ask them to do a study and come back and say, okay, there are ones which are potential.
Well, you have to, also 25th Street is busy in the mornings and in the afternoons, because that's avenues.
I'm not, yeah, I'm not suggesting that specific street.
That's the only one there. I think that's what you think, because it doesn't go.
No, I'm talking about Fulton.
Oh, what are you talking about?
What?
I thought you were talking.
No,
Well, we
one
skipped
up
downtown.
there, one up there, and another one at Fulton.
There are two streets, one up.
There's one at Fulton that is, less traveled, let's put it this way.
Okay. 19, 17 is busy.
Okay.
18th is very heavily covered because that's in the.
19 comes this way.
Yes, that's a highway coming.
That would be a great one.
Well, they should do a traffic study. They should do a traffic
Main
study.
entry.
Well, that's what it is, we're just saying, they
Running at
they
both
need to
sides.
find new places, right? And then the next question also is, are they, will all the pedestrian sidewalk respect the pedestrian mobility plan?
Yeah, no, I'll send you the language. I put it in because of.
You put it in?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's there, but it's
Because
in my.
they need to,
She read them out, right?
okay,
It's basically widening sidewalks based on the pedestrian flow study.
but you couldn't say based on the pedestrian mobility plan.
Oh, yes, oh, that too is there.
That,
Yeah, so I call it ADA compliant, accessibility, that's right.
there is a plan specific.
Because again, there's a big event going on that, I'm just going
Our plan or
to.
the city?
Plenty of things.
The city, okay, the one
The
where they just
city
go like this.
pedestrian plan
local
where you
avenue,
see the
local
different
avenue.
things, right?
No, you're right, I mentioned ADA and accessibility compliance, both.
Right. So we should add those things and then.
They're going to give them to them, can we type them up and, I didn't realize the transportation was looking at. Can we send these comments to you and then we can share later or?
Yeah, to Rodney.
You can.
Send it to Rodney.
He volunteered for this.
Yeah.
You know, Alan, I did not. My name was put
But
into a hole.
you did a great job.
Oh, that's very kind of
It's
you.
good.
My email is Rodney _. Okay, right.
So send it all to
Yeah,
Rodney. if
that'd
you
be
have
great.
changes, and then you have to send it back.
And to
them.
Carrie and to
Right.
Jeff, I'll copy you and Jess.
So that's
They did
it.
a terrific job last night. I
Yeah,
tell you, it was,
Were you there?
yeah,
Okay.
I was online.
You know,
I wasn't going to that meeting in person.
Which we.
That's another story.
Chelsea later.
Oh, so she got it on, YouTube.
Yeah, it was at
They hit
57, it was
all
at
the- all the
57.
points.
she's really good.
Yeah, and I wasn't there for the follow-up, but I guess.
We
he
had
added some-
17 pages of each
It was
member.
the guys.
Gave-
Caesar stuff, yes.
Caesar.
Oh, he's harassing.
What is it?
Stop.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we take a vote on that, or what? Yeah, this is our vote. We
Yeah.
take a vote on this, what we want to
Yeah.
send, right?
So what are we voting on exactly? Just.
That we are going to send all these comments plus the one who's just,
The one that you
Right.
asked.
Right.
Okay, and the comment.
Right.
That was sent to me.
Send you one.
And then
and then we'll send that to the land use committee so that they integrate that in their scoping response.
Yeah. I'll send it to you, but CLU already has it, because they asked me to get urban design and visual, whatever
Okay.
they call.
So do I have a motion here? Yes? All in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. All right, that was the easy one.
Thanks, everyone.
That was a great job. Thank you so much.
Uh,
All right, and now the Port Authority bus terminal.
Boy.
Yeah.
Well, like they said in the presentation. They aggregated all the requests from the community, which I think they did. Except they didn't tell us what it was gonna look like.
Committee, I'm sorry, there was some hands up in the audience, and I'm sorry, in the public.
Oh, she's on the last subject?
Yeah, so there's Mike and Jahia.
I do that every time.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. to put anything for
Thank you,
bios.
Janine. Thank you. I was looking for your phone number to text you. Just a couple of points, just to clear some up. The parking spaces in the new redevelopment will be underground.
Oh, good.
All
Okay.
right. So that's already agreed to, planned for. As to West 27th Drive, all right, if you look at it, the way you get into it is between 9th and 10th on 26th Street. So you're coming along, and just before you hit PS 33, you make a left, and that little that street, right, goes between PS 23 and the Chelsea Edition. All right. So the folks, the teachers and all who park for PS 33 get to their little parking area off of West 27th Drive. All right. Then you hook around to the left and you come in front of the Chelsea Edition, where all the accessoride vendors, everybody, services that building off of that little street. All right. And then you go to the end of it, and then you hit 10th Avenue. All right. I might, let me just add that back in about 10 years ago or so, there was a question as to how we could get that street repaved. Nobody knew how to do it, right? So I used to be part of this advisory committee. So I went to Christine Quinn, and we finally realized that NYCHA owned that street. It was not a DOT controlled street. NYCHA actually owns the bloody street. So Christine got DOT to actually step in like right away, and they repaved this thing after many, many years of trying. Christine was happy for that result, and she recommended me to become a member of CB4. So I have great thoughts. I love that street. Let me tell you what. And I'm walking by it today, right? I'm walking by the street today. The same path that I told you before about with Richie and all that. And I look down the street, and I said, gee, this is over 10 years ago, and it's all pockmarked again, potholes and everything. But yeah, that's the street that got me onto CB4.
So, Michael, what do you want us to do about that street? Do you want a secondary sign?
Yeah, right. I'll put my name on. Yeah, that's good. Let's dedicate that to me. So, and also, yeah, and the Parks Department does have that little shed there. They use that too. All right. And it's just a very valuable spot. I mean, let's not change. Let's not try to, upend. Okay, good. All right.
And is Jaya coming back or not? He was there. Where are you? We can't see you. Are you coming on the phone?
Yeah, I think Janine had to do something with the Zoom.
Janine, can you
hear
bring
me?
Jaya over?
Yeah, Jahaya is speaking.
Yeah. Can you hear me or no?
Yes. Somewhat.
Hang on. Let me rejoin 1 second.
Okay. Nothing. I hear it. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Of course, when I try to actually join, my phone doesn't want to let me. I just wanted to comment on 2 things. One, on the parking, just knowing that, only 4% of people in CB4 use a vehicle to drive to work. I think we should definitely ask for, consideration of a parking-free option, knowing that, the cost of building parking, especially underground, is not free, and it's often a trade-off of that versus more units. So I think it should be an ask. And then the second, I did want to comment on 27th Street, knowing that that short little half street often has vehicles parked on the sidewalk on both sides. I do think it is reasonable to sort of ask for options that would filter that, in addition to sort of it being considered a shared street. It effectively is already a shared street that never has, you know, traffic, but the issue is the cars that think sidewalk becomes their parking spot. So any way to work those sorts of asks in would be great. Otherwise, thank you.
That makes me think that, have we talked about the bike parking and the bike charging stations? I think we should put that somewhere.
Like an only type thing?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I mean, you know, there is always that issue that people cannot charge in their house. So I think we should have the consideration part of the parking, that there is parking for bikes and there is charging for bikes.
We did that.
Oh, you did that? Okay. Okay, great. All right. Excellent.
It's
Right.
the bunch of overlaps with each category.
Well, there is always.
A lot of points.
Good. That's good. All right, that's good.
Hey, one more thing on the parking, Christine, if I might, one more thought on the parking. You know, since it's underground, it shouldn't be bothering anybody, but beyond that, this redevelopment plan is not looking to take away anything that already exists for the tenants, okay?
Right.
It is fraught with all sorts of controversy. People are freaking about this and that and every other thing. Don't even consider trying to take something away, all right?
Yeah,
Please,
I get it.
Yeah.
all right?
And also.
Nico Harachi and Candace also joined.
Oh, okay. Okay, Michael?
I'm
Yeah.
done.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
Hi. Yes, it's not too late for Christine, Bertha, and Jahaya. A ticket for 2024. It's not too late, folks. Let's get it together. I totally second Jahaya's comments about the parking. I think that the 4% of folks that utilize parking in our community board speaks volumes, and the law-breaking mayor and his police force that continually abuse placards. They park in the bus lanes along 42nd Street. They park that whole side of the West 40th Street
Okay, but
Port
that's
Authority.
not, okay,
How it is
Michael.
now is
Stay on the subject, it's getting late.
okay. I think that the parking, we can work on that. I think there should be totally a lot more public seating than what is there now. I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes in regards to the Moynihan train station and the LaGuardia terminal is the lack of public seating.
You know, we're all talking about NYCHA, right?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm on the wrong thing. I am so sorry.
Okay.
But yes, NYCHA deserves public street trees and seating too. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Candice.
Hey guys, I just wanted to echo what Mike was saying about 27th Street. I was actually just over there in the park area, and there's already charging for EVs. There's the parks departments over there. They have a system set up, just a side note. So I know that's why the cars are parked over there. That's how they get to charge their vehicles for parks department. And then also the 27th Street, it is where the older residents, it's just a half street. It's just, it's more like Penn Station, you know, that little access road just for the building to get to. I was thinking more, it's like, oh, that's so underutilized and we should be using that area more, even for the summertime. I'm very like, wow, we don't use that space enough. So maybe that's something just for the neighborhood that we should start, you know, parks that we start to think about. So I just don't want to lose that. It's already a spot.
I don't think we are thinking of losing it. We are thinking of restricting the use to, you know, the seniors and to the parks.
Okay.
And
prioritizing.
Right, and you know, not necessarily other uses which are, and you know, then add to pedestrian uses, right? Because as you said, it's underused, we can do better with that.
Yeah, I just didn't want to lose that. That's what I was hearing. And I was like,
No,
no.
no, no, we are not talking about losing it, I mean, at least, that's not what we meant.
Awesome. And then
Okay,
the other thing
all
would be
right.
the pedestrian on the the plaza way. Where can I just find more information about that? Because I just wanted to learn. I need to
What?
the plaza pedestrians, like the pathways, the actual width. Like what is like where can we find more information about that?
There is the website of DOT as when you type pedestrian mobility plan, you're going to find all the all the plans they have for that.
Okay. And that
Okay.
would that does that include the bollards or no?
Well, yes, in the sense that this talks about clear paths. So the bollards are separate from the clear path.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Good rest of your meeting.
Yeah.
Just I want to incorporate what someone from the public had said about reducing parking. Mike Noble said that's a no brainer, but maybe what we could do is, especially for those who already exist in NYCHA, if you give up your parking spot, you give them a perk, an incentive.
Yeah, but you're right, but that's not
Well, that would be
part
nice.
of this, our purview here.
You don't want them to.
No, but this is not, the method by which people are going to give up parking is not what we discuss. We discuss the design of the place. So that's an operation, that's not a design. But I think that in the parking, if you can include, without saying anybody is losing parking, you can say it includes bike parking and charging, that, you know, something is going to have to get. But I think what Mike says is that politically.
Oh, he's right.
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely right.
Politically, this
He's
is
absolutely
not
right.
the thing to pick on.
Yeah, not at this point. He's absolutely right.
So just a point, a lot of the folks in NYCHA have to drive, because a lot of their work, they used to walk to the west side.
Yeah.
And they used to be in warehousing and all these other things that have been taken away. They've all moved over to Greenpoint and, you know, parts of Brooklyn where there's no transportation, so a lot of these folks have to drive to get there.
Okay, so I think we're good with we are adding that to the. All right, so we're back to the community, the Port Authority. In any order, what are your feelings? Yes.
I think we'll brought this up actually the land use meeting too. But I actually think I'm a little concerned that there's only 30% more buses. And like, is that enough? Are they gonna build a terminal and be like, oh, in 2040, we are already at 30% more buses, and then.
No, they are beyond that, the 30%.
Right, but it's not as substantial an increase in capacity as potentially seems possible. Like, it is not. It is within the what they likely think for 2040.
Right.
Which, when I hear that, I don't know, but I worry. What about 2050? What about 2060?
Well,
we don't want to be repeating this process in 2035 when they realize, hey, we're gonna need another floor.
Etc. Hopefully by then they will build a subway going to New Jersey. Because that's what should have been built in the first place, and nobody wanted to do it. But the reality is that we wanted to take the 7 and extend it to Secaucus, and then have the terminal in Secaucus. And everybody pushed back. So I would think that when we get to the second time around, you know, we're going to say, sorry, no more, you don't have any space anymore. Now you need to really extend the rail or the subway. And that's the other thing which is being done is connecting a lot of, you know, Bergen County, etc. They are doing a certain amount of connectivity that is going to bring people to Penn Station in one trip, one seat ride. So some of the buses that are today, people are taking those buses, they are really in the future, they will take some of that rail and go to Penn Station.
Okay, I 100% agree with you that it would be better if people take rail or subway. Better for us, but also better for
Yes.
the many people who commute from New Jersey and other areas.
But so that's my answer. They should have done that in the first place, not do this enormous thing. But
yeah, we're gonna spend $10 billion.
it became a fait accompli that this is the only thing that New Jersey would accept. And we worked for 4 years trying to convince everybody to bring the subway over there and have a terminal over there. And everybody said, oh, 2-seat ride. Oh, I can do that. So that died, politically died.
How does that leave us though on the bus capacity question?
I think the next time is, again, it has to be a rail. It will have to be a rail and say, look, you have to do another tunnel and you have to do, Gateway is fine, but it's going to be full. And then you have another tunnel. We need more tunnels if people want to come. And we don't want tunnel for cars, we want tunnel for people, right? Because I think that's.
It's gonna have to happen, it's gonna have to be multimodal, not everybody's gonna be wanting to drive or have access to bus and whatnot. The trains are going to become bigger kind of reality hopefully. And 430 bus terminal is pretty finite in terms of what it can. And in terms of capacity, so you can increase it by a certain percentage, but if you want to do 50%, cost goes up and space requirements go up as well. So I think kind of, and you're right, Christine's right, it's being played for.
I think you're right.
Yes.
I think you're right, but then everybody said, well, finally they're, ta-da.
I mean, just to your point, I commute to New Jersey. And frankly, I would never think of taking the bus. And I take New Jersey Transit every day.
It seems pretty undesirable, but.
It seems so undesirable.
I imagine it's for many people who.
Well, there are many people who live in
Many
towns.
people live in towns
where you
which
don't have.
often the towns even have rail, but they just don't run trains on it anymore.
That's right.
I know my employer has a second office that I occasionally go to in New Jersey. And it's deeply frustrating. There's the train station right there.
Oh, there is a train.
But it's unused.
Right. No, there are a lot of trains. Unused in New Jersey.
Yeah,
A
the
lot.
rail companies
Yes, we
destroyed
should
them.
encourage.
Yeah, but we are in New York, they are in New Jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way we encourage is we do congestion pricing.
Yeah.
Which is like, stay where you are or set up
Hop
a
on the
train. And because they have, I think it was in the beginning of this century or middle of the century, they totally wrecked all their train infrastructure in favor of cars.
Yes,
Crazy,
the
it's-
auto company brought them out. And
Yeah,
then they
so
destroyed-
that's the issue they have. They have to bring it back. Okay, so next.
How many ramps are there now coming in? Out of the tunnel? To get into the terminal now? Because the reason.
I would say 3 or 4.
Because they're, once they start demolishing the ramps now, they're building, suppose just one entrance ramp.
No, they're
Temporary, they're only building one.
temporary, there will be one in and one out, so that's going to be horrible.
Yeah,
right?
so.
Right, horrible. I mean, the
Do they,
construction
I
is going to
mean,
be horrible.
in terms of this, do they need to do something different? They need to add a ramp or something?
No, and then they are building like 5 and 5. So it's going to be plenty, one per floor, right?
That's so odd, how many ramps there are going to be at, that was startling.
Yeah, the other thing I find interesting is a suggestion to put in a marine facility for handling materials, which I think we should support. I mean, it has to be built according to various agencies, but instead of having trucks going in and out throughout the city.
You know where it's going to be, it's going to be across the Greenway. So, I mean, if it could be in the same place as Gateway is going to have a place, right? So if they could put it in the same as Gateway, well, at least there is one crossing, which is a mess.
Yeah.
And then that's fine, but that would be a good, yes.
Yeah, just reading over again, it just jumped out at me. We once had a presentation at Parks for concrete.
Yes.
Manufacturing in Hudson to pump concrete for all the buildings that were coming up. Somehow that disappeared. The other thing is that maybe it's just a typo. They mentioned the 10th Avenue bike lanes, but on the east side.
I know. I wrote it down. I wrote down and said, you know, I wrote down, there are so many mistakes in the thing that it makes you doubt that the whole thing is going to ever work, right?
Hopefully the engineers aren't the same, you know.
Right. Let me write down what you said. One ramp, and then the interim, and then the you were talking about the barge.
Yeah, marine handling, material, marine handling.
Yeah.
I did not get to overhear the thing last night, so I'm speaking, I'm laughing the question out of ignorance. How will it affect the buses, these private buses that pick people up on the corners and all?
It will take it in, everything will go in.
And will that be enforced where they won't be able to do like B&H's buses won't be able to park there?
Yeah, I think the DOT, I mean, if you remember, we did an analysis of a best practice in the other cities, like Philadelphia, Baltimore, etc. And one of the things they do is they do cordoning, which says, like, they say, this is where you can be, and this is where you cannot go. And here we would do the reverse. There would be a cordon around the bus terminal of, I don't know, 1 mile, maybe, 600 feet or whatever. And then nobody would be able to get a permit in that area. So that will be pushed out, and we have had discussion with DOT where they mentioned that they will probably do that.
So that means certain permits would be revoked.
Yeah.
And then coordinating the Port Authority, which is a separate authority, that's why I'm a little reluctant, because I mean, they're not getting things right now.
Right.
And they're planning, when they're trying to sweep talk, it's like the first date. What's gonna be down the road, I'm really concerned, because you said that there was a lot.
No, but they want to have them in, and the DOT is dead. I mean, they were the ones sending letters to the Port Authority saying, you have to take them in. You have to do it. This is the minimum.
Don't you remember that guy years ago who said, we don't want to adopt it, they antiquated because his buses were too big to go into the,
Well, but then here it would be double, it would be all double decker will go in.
Double decker?
Yeah. All the megabus and all that stuff, they will be, that's why the building is so high. It's like every floor can accommodate a double decker. So that's another thing about the capacity, is that in fact, it has 30% more buses, but
much more
capacity. Right, much more capacity. You could say every New Jersey transit was becoming a double decker. And you can have double capacity.
other than that, only thing would be bike parking there?
Hold on. Hold on 1 second, I'll come back.
I'm concerned about the entry, because this is a project that's going to last a long time. And I know these other buses from the outside are going to come in wanting to get a permit. How are we going to handle that?
Well, the way we're handling it today, we are putting them on 12th Avenue. And anyway, in this case, because construction is going to happen here, we're not going to be able to approve anything in this space.
Right.
So we're going to say, as we have been saying for the last 10 years, 11th Avenue, 12th Avenue, that's it. Right. So.
Sorry, I have a very quick question. Does the EIS sort of state very clearly that no old parking of commuter buses outside will be permitted within the buffer zone?
No.
They have?
No.
Should we ask for it or something?
I mean, I think we've asked, they're going to say it's DOT.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem, is DOT is the one who can enforce an operational protocol.
DOT.
So that's a DOT question, and we are reasonably confident that we have given them all the tools, and they have been, I have heard them starting to say, oh yeah, we'll do corral. So, all right, okay. So I think we can pick up that fight in 5 years, right? In 5 or 6 years, and start to say, wait a minute, what are you going to do? We want details, we want what's going on. Right.
So now can we, I don't know if we are supported or not, can they give us the kind of volume of how many of those buses will be actually made part of the new one stuff?
All of them.
All, do you know the number? Actually,
There's a whole floor, so this is, I think, 40 gates.
Okay.
And 40 gates, you know, for those long distance buses,
No, but I
you're
mean-
steering the gates, right? It's not like a dedicated gate, because, I mean, Megabus is a dedicated gate, but the other guys, if they come twice a week, twice a day, you can share it with another. So I think, you know, we gave them early on, I gave them a list, the list of everything that had to go in. You know,
Again,
yes,
but the Jiffy buses are.
the what?
What about the Jiffy buses?
Yes.
Are they gonna be in there as well?
Yes.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah,
We put up a big fight on that.
yeah, remember that 47 shoes, right?
Well, and, okay, was going to say, so now, I think DOT and Transportation Alternative, they are now interested into making 42nd Street the busway.
which it used to be.
It's
Just in the middle of the city, yeah.
Huh?
And it's just in the middle.
I don't know that, but, you know, to me, this is good. This is really good. Because then you don't get the jitneys and you don't get, you know, the Port Authority traffic going on there. So I think this is something which makes sense with all those transit, when you have all the people coming out of the bus terminal. If they could get on the bus and go to the east, 50% of the people coming out are walking. And the reason they are walking is because the bus is.
Yes, horrible.
Right, horrible. Not even, I mean, you look at the bus, you say, okay, I'll walk.
Yeah, no, seriously.
But seriously.
I want that.
So anyway, that's possibly going to play into the mix, you know, they are starting to work on it now. I don't know where, you had
Two things, one is it gonna be more secure bike parking other than that only thing by.
yeah, there's going to be a room, bike parking room.
Well, and hopefully some of the buses let you bring your bike on, once you're in these towns in Jersey.
That's in the operation.
Right, all right, the other thing is, and this is a little off base, just to give you a heads up, I noticed just going on 8th Avenue and 30th Street where the bus is there, it's a cluster, it's a big cluster, just so you know, so.
That's going to be an interim bus parking.
Yeah.
During the construction, the whole 30th Street between from 10 to 9, they are going to reconfigure it, and that's going to be.
That's gonna be an issue, because on 30th and 8th, where they have that private company,
Yeah,
it's a cluster. I don't know about what you're talking about.
no, I'm talking about 30th and 9, that's going to be a Port Authority controlled terminal, interim terminal, where
So
people are going to stop there, load, unload, and go.
So are they gonna have somebody there, a group of people to make sure that things, a lot of times the buses, like if the light is yellow, it'll be like half in traffic and half not. So that
What
means-
are you talking about, 8th Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah, but it's gonna happen, so it is.
No, because they're going to ride through 9, where there is this entrance which has no traffic light. You know, when we go down 9th Avenue, at a point of time, you can go and make a right turn, and there is like a ramp.
Where the post office is over there.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
All right.
Yes. Right, so there are going to be 2 interim, that's going to be part of the interim plan, right? Where they put the buses there and people are going to load and load, and that would be especially for the long distance.
Everything is happening on Port Authority land.
Right.
Well,
Eighth
so-
Avenue, 30th Street is a private.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Right.
I remember years ago when you had the community meetings, there was talk about using Port Authority sites north of Port Authority for either housing and some green space, or am I imagining?
No, there is one site, which is the Hunter College. Isn't the one you're talking about?
But I remember we had a whole plan of, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 different sites.
Oh, well, there were 4 towers.
Tower, yeah.
Right, there
further up.
were 4 towers.
The
There were
the
2
two
towers.
towers were gonna be over the there were gonna be 2 residential towers over the ramps.
Right, and they are not there anymore because the way they were.
Apparently, it is not structurally possible to put residential
So
towers.
there is only 2 towers left. They are on 8th Avenue and they are.
I'm not talking about the ones on top of the terminal, but I still remember there was some extra green space that we were looking at, also kind of like north of 42nd Street or somewhere,
no.
Port Authority,
No. Okay.
It must have been dreams.
Okay, so any other suggestion and concerns for the transportation section?
The other thing is this thing about the towers, like the Port Authority towers. Should we be suggesting that come 2040 or something, when that they should make an effort to reconsider financing? Because that's the purpose of these towers, from what I understand, right? So things could change by then. I mean, we shouldn't just let the idea of these huge towers exist, just, you know, as wrote in the EIS, but that there should be an effort to reconsider financing when the time comes. Maybe reduce the towers in some way.
So I don't know if it's going to answer your question, but it did come up in the land use committee meeting. I'm reading what Joe said, so pretty highly accurate.
Yes.
Because he's been working for authority for years. They have committed to, like, if the office market doesn't pan out and they cannot find a developer or they make less money than they expect, to covering the rest out of their existing capital budget. So it's not, there's no risk that the project will not be built, even if the commercial office market
Or pay the interest.
does not upturn as they think it will.
You know, I'm not concerned as, I think it's gonna get built one way or another, it has to get built. But what I'm saying is, I don't want to, I'm suggesting that we don't just accept the fact that they're gonna build these 60, story towers. Whether the financing is there or isn't there, or there could be another source of financing, but they should make an effort to look for financing at the time when they're thinking.
I think that's the discussion. First of all, it's not a transportation discussion. And second, it's a discussion that be taken, in 10, 15 years. I mean, the thing is up, it's going up, and then, there is maybe not the tower yet. And then, you go to them and say, okay, do we really need those towers? Do we really need 100-story tower here, or could you reduce it? And now you look at their capital budget and whether they can backfill what it is, because one thing that.
And that is also something the land use committee is already commenting on, is the desire not to reduce the FAR of those buildings, but to flatten them, because they are actually allowed under current zoning, does allow that much FAR, but the land use committee is commenting in their section of content, of a desire to just spread it out over more of the Port Authority land.
Because one thing we don't think about is that the congestion pricing is going to cut the budget of the Port Authority by 10 billion every year, every 10 years. Because their business, to make their money from the toll. So if they are 17% less cars, this is 17% less revenue, which, since the revenue helped them, bond and get capital, the result is that essentially their capital budget is going to decrease by a big chunk, So this is something which is not coming up into the discussions, but which is clearly back of mind when you talk to the Port Authority. They're going to lose a lot of revenue and money and capital.
They'll find a way to make it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I mean, that's
another airport.
today, that's a big chunk. So I'm not going to cry, but it's a reality, right? It is what it is. Janine, I'm sorry.
No. The queuing of the demolishing, equipment trucks and also the queuing of eventually the cement trucks. That can eventually be a big problem along the way.
Big problem. Yes.
Yes.
A lot of concrete. I think Michael wants to see this.
Right. Okay, so Michael.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, NYCHA. So the Port Authority, I've lived a block away west of the Port Authority bus terminal for about 6 years now. The biggest problem, besides a lot of what was already discussed, for me is not only the pollution, and thank you, Christine, for going into the brief history about how it should have been placed in New Jersey. That was really refreshing to hear, but also the noise and the amount of traffic violations that happen from the cars, trucks, and buses around the vicinity. I think it's something to be said to maybe include support for any red light, speed, and or acoustic camera legislation to be included in the expansion of the terminal. Because especially with the Holland Tunnel closed, all of those cars pose an extreme threat to the people that live in the area, and that is ever increasing with new residential buildings going up. Thank you.
I've not slept in months. No, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's like the traffic starts coming out of the city going to New Jersey, and they on 37th Street, 11 o'clock at night, and then everybody home until 12:30. It's horrible. It's just very bad. So I think the next 10 years are going to be really challenging. Yeah. Anyone else, Janine?
I think there should be a rule about honking.
No? Okay. So I have put in the comments, I'll send you around, I've done a draft. So I've put the noise enforcement, cameras, noise enforcement, but this is good to know for permanent, I thought it was just for construction. I think we need to put it for permanent.
Did I hear you right? You said noise enforcement?
Yeah.
There's they have such a thing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently we have one camera in our district. I don't know where it is. And I think we may need to,
Get a lot more. Is that a?
yeah, we need, if you guys have, but a camera would do that.
Like a speed
Yes.
camera?
No, it's like a speed camera, but for the noise.
Okay,
It's a
yeah.
pilot.
This noise is the worst issue
Oh,
than
wow.
speeding.
So.
Usually the speed of the road will not make you
But
speed.
do we need state legislative approval?
No, this is a pilot. I think what we should do is all of you collect an intersection or whatever, where you think this is bad. And then we put it, and then next month we can put that in the letter.
And the noise enforcement is for excessive honking, like what?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Legal honking, yes.
Still illegal.
It is. It is.
$350, right?
It is.
What happened to all the signs that says honking penalty, $300?
That went out. with
We
Louis.
had the signs,
Yeah, there's,
and they removed it when?
after Rudy sometime.
Right, they removed it. Well, I don't know why they removed it, but it's.
They needed to make new signs.
But it's still illegal. Right?
Completely.
Yeah.
So if you want all to collect that, I'll send a note around and we can send a letter saying these are all the locations where. So yeah, noise enforcement. I mean, otherwise you need somebody at every intersection. It's not the only to do it, right? And you need somebody who can give tickets.
They don't give
They don't give tickets, and they are not there at 11 o'clock at night, and, you know.
Could the Port, now, I should know the answer, but I don't, could the Port Authority, let's say you do excessive honky going to the tunnel, but you're on Port Authority property. If they had this noise thing, could they write a ticket from the Port Authority on their own?
The Port Authority doesn't write tickets on NYPD territory.
I'm talking about if it's in on Dyer, let's say.
It's not on Dyer, it's on 37th Street, or it's on 10th Avenue.
But if it's in Dyer underneath and they're making that noise.
No, they are not.
No, they do by me.
Oh, they do by you.
On 34, but it wouldn't be NYPD's territory technically, it would be.
Okay,
Port
yes.
Authority, do they have the?
Well, make the list and we'll
No, but I'm
send it.
asking, do they have the enforcement?
I don't know.
Does NYPD not like enforce the laws on Dyer Avenue?
No, Dyer Avenue is owned by Port Authority.
So they're like Port Authority, I don't
It's
know.
their property.
Did they have like their own traffic cops and stuff?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's-
Okay.
It's a
At the
great,
Port Authority, you have a whole group of people.
it's a great job for a cop.
The phrase was noise, noise surveillance.
Noise what?
Surveillance.
Yes,
Oh,
but I
sorry.
knew about that for years ago, it's one of my friend's son.
Okay, anything else, people, help me here. That's it? Okay. I'll send you a draft.
Actually, that would be better if you that.
The draft is 17 pages. That's why I didn't bring it here, because it's like,
That's the first draft.
the first draft is 17 pages. It's crazy.
Didn't you say there was a 17-page thing to the Chelsea?
Yeah, some things.
The-
CMU, NYCHA.
So that's the thing.
Right, it's the same thing. It's like
It's a,
enormous. Okay,
It's like getting these people back for making us read EISs.
one more subject, new business. Okay, so we are taking a vote. No, we don't take, we are taking a vote. Right.
Any comments from the audience?
No, that's it.
Oh,
We just got it. I wanted to add possibly a new items that Jaya brought up. There was a cyclist who was what is it called? Sideswipe on the bike lane on 11th Avenue. And you know that we have been complaining about this bike lane, that cars are using it, and then DOT has done nothing about it. And so that cyclist was sideswiped, it was taken in the ambulance, I don't know what is. And then on 10th Avenue now, same thing, there is a whole section which is not protected vertically, and the cars get into it. Yeah.
Why don't they put up?
I know. So what I suggest is that we use that unfortunate incident and we write a letter to DOT saying, you know, how many more are we going to need for you to put protections here? Because that's not working. And normally that's not working. So that not working, that was fun, but no, that's not working. It's dangerous, it's unsafe, and people are getting hurt.
It's number of places, so the 22nd we have the same issue, and 7th Avenue, when cars turn left, there's no protection law.
So is that considered a finished bike lane?
Yeah. And we did at the time make comments saying we want vertical separation and we want a protection so that people don't get in the bike lane, the cars. And, you know.
Do we know who the cyclist is? That was the cyclist that was injured. Do we know who that person might be? And also, maybe Jesse could do the FOIL, the EMS report.
And to do what?
Well, we know who the cyclist, what happened.
What happened, Jaya was there. He took a video of it.
Who's it? Somebody?
Jaya, he was there and he took a video of it.
Oh, okay, so
there is a video on the internet, you see what happened. And the car was there was a taxi, there was, you know, the usual depressing, horrible thing.
And this also, we can add for cameras in the bike lane too, that, you know, so that.
But we can ask for everything, but they're not, I mean, we need to bring them, the fact that they are, you know, injured people which are going to sue them. That's what.
Yes, that's,
That's what we need to bring to that and say, okay, you know, I hope there is no lawsuit, but are you going to do this or what?
but I think what the reason why I asked for the book is you could show that this was minor, and look what happened. If it's gonna be much worse, so you have something you can show an actual incident. In other words, everything.
I have the video.
You have the video, right? Okay, so, all right, that's actually very, it's sad, but it's very good because this way.
I know. So I'm suggesting new business that we have a letter on protecting 11th and 10th Avenue. And, you know, I mean, it's nothing new. We have asked for it before, but now we have a good example and we want to like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think there's a little complication with some places, the red light will stop, the left turn is permitted. Only cars are supposed to move, the bike guys keep going. So there's a whole bunch of sort of, what do you call it?
It's like the mixing zone?
Yeah, so for example, I don't know the street name, I believe 17th or somewhere, where you actually have light only for cars to make a left.
Right.
And the bike guys
I hate
can
that.
keep thinking that they can keep going.
Oh.
Because the cars are moving.
Yeah.
And then that's what the collision is for.
What is the solution?
But is that a mixing zone or is
The
it?
solution is, I mean, the solution is there, no one follows through because the bike light is off. You're supposed to stop and the car is supposed to make a left.
No, if your bike light is red, you're supposed to stop.
Exactly.
If it's not red, it's permissive, which means you can go.
No, they're red, which is why.
They are red.
They're red.
Well, then if they are
Bike
red, we can't fix that.
You can't, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, you know,
The
it's
solution
like
is in place, but it's not.
our small committee cannot take that on. It's stupid.
No, but I think I'm well in favor of your letter, I even add to put cameras in as an extra for gravy, but I think this is.
No, but her point.
I'm glad you brought
Yeah,
that.
but between now and the camera, which are not permitted yet, we need.
Right, yeah, I agree, yeah, I agree, yeah, I actually make that motion, whatever you.
Okay. Second? Second. All in favor? All right.
Christy, there's a hand up in the attendees, Shahaya.
Oh, he's still there? I thought you told me you would, oh, Jaya, please speak up.
Oh, we did the video, thank you.
That was for you. I'm taking
Thank
stuff
you.
up.
Thank you for adding my own new business onto the list. But no, I'll just sort of echo since I was there. You know, I think we all know it's nothing new with, you know, as soon as there's tunnel traffic on 11th Avenue for drivers to try to use the bike lane to sort of skip blocks of it. And, you know, I had sort of documented that happening throughout the day on Friday. And then when I went to sort of ride down on, you know, for an errand at 6 o'clock, I came across somebody right at 45th Street who, you know, was surrounded by EMTs over on the sidewalk. And, you know, there's offset, you know, bus loading islands there. And apparently the taxi driver had tried to cut through and sideswiped the cyclist. They went over the handlebars. And so when I was there, they were in a lot of pain and, you know, had a neck brace on and, or the EMTs were loading them onto a stretcher. I don't know who it was. I didn't want to interfere with them receiving, you know, the care they needed. But yeah, I think it's appropriate to write something. The other thing I'll say is on 10th Avenue, definitely cars doing the same thing on that first block from 20, I guess it's 20,
38.
Yeah, 38 to 39. Sorry, my
Yep.
The numbers are all backwards in my head at the moment. But yeah, that first block, you know, the same sort of thing where cars will sort of try to just skip ahead to make the left and, you know, get ahead into the tunnel. So I'll say those are two sort of problematic stretches. We know what they are. Unfortunately, I wish it would be covered under the new legislation that authorizes the MTA and DOT to do enforcement, but those are explicitly for parking and bike lanes, so I don't think they'll cover this. And then the other thing I'll say is, you know, the precursor to a lot of this is cars blocking the intersections. and, you know, requests around automated enforcement of vehicles blocking the intersections, I actually think would go a long way to addressing the root issue, which is the gridlock that then drivers get frustrated and try to, you know, skip ahead. But yeah, it was very sad to sort of come across that. Wish DOT would act before it happens, but it's happened, and we should try to use that to see some changes. So thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you for taking the videos.
How wide is the bike lanes on 11?
The old one, right?
Which is what, 8 feet?
No, it's what, 6 feet?
6 feet.
Or on 11th Avenue, it's 6 feet, or it's not even?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the typical 5 feet plus, you know, the 3 or 4 feet buffer. So like the full effective width is, you know, 8 or 9 feet. But the green paint is smaller on 11th.
So would it be unreasonable to put some sort of like a bollard or something to prevent the car from going in there?
Well,
with a light or something that can, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that I moved, you know, the trash cans in the lane when I went through at 4 o'clock, and of course they were all gone, you know, by 6 o'clock, and drivers just move them out of the way. I don't know how serious of a bollard is needed to keep drivers out, but it can't be, you know, I don't know that the flex posts will be enough.
But you can't put a car through there. You haven't.
That's the paradox. The paradox is that they want to have sanitation trucks be able to go through, right? But then, you know, so once you have a sanitation truck, you have a car going through.
Or ambulances.
Well, and so what they need is to put flexible bollards or something that can, you know, flatten and come back.
Yeah, and just run over.
Right. So it's and on 11th Avenue, it happens that they have very wide parking bays for loading docks, right?
Yeah.
So you have a whole area where you have no bike lane in a sense, right? And then you have the bike lane again, and it looks like it's empty. So it looks very inviting to get into there. And it's the whole configuration of those blocks is really a problem. I mean, there should be barricades or something like that.
So this happens mostly during certain hours of the day?
It happens mostly on Fridays at 3 to 6 when all the Thursdays are going there.
So you need enforcement. You need bike and you need, you know.
You need a few, and I know that, what's his name, Eric Butcher has required them, and one guy came in 2 days.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, okay, it's fixed.
That's what happened on 23rd.
If we use enforcement, we need to not get traffic cops, but NYPD cops or state troopers.
I know.
Who can write a ticket for moving violation.
They won't give it to you. Anytime you ask for.
They wouldn't get the state troopers, because that would be, it's state money. When you get a moving violation, the money goes to the state. So there's an economic incentive there. So the governor might like that.
NYPD doesn't want the state coming in on this.
Yeah, but what do we care? They have the right, and if they're not gonna do it.
Okay, well, all right, we can.
I have one question. The mayor announced this whole daylighting thing a while back. Has anything progressed on that? Are they picking out streets? Are they moving along? Have you heard anything there?
No, we said we were going to have to do a survey, right? I mean, the DOT has come back and said, we're not going to do it everywhere.
No, not everywhere.
But 1,000, yes.
Yeah.
1,000.
Have they figured out where or what?
I don't know that.
They dividing it up by borough or?
No, we should probably submit a list.
Yeah.
The new business regarding the newsstand, that way. Do I?
Oh, what happened to it?
Newsstand, what happened to it? They took the newsstand away?
No.
Denise, what did we do? What did we do with the newsstand?
They said I should bring it up at this meeting for.
As a new business? Oh, okay, here you are, new business.
Yeah, but we have to call in the owner. It was sort of not completely understood by me, the process. Okay, let me just quickly.
No, so we have the office. Talk to the
Give us the
owner.
storage.
Yeah.
Storage.
We do the next month. The office has to call the owner.
Oh, okay, so I don't know.
Janine, am I right?
Is the
that
newsstand selling
office-
marijuana?
Yeah, no, Kristen, you're correct. We would contact the owner for the next meeting, and then if you want to bring it up today, you can discuss it, but we would have, if you want to take a vote on anything, we'd have to wait until next month. If we hear
Okay.
back from the owner, then great, but if not, then you can.
Next month.
I do nothing.
Right.
But tell us about the newsstand.
Okay, there's a newsstand that has magazines from like 2018, 2019. No one has used this news, no one is behind this newsstand. It's just this newsstand at
Right.
60th and 9th Avenue. So neighbors have said, what is it doing there? Can it be removed? Because there's no use.
Oh, so you have to get a hold of the, who runs the newsstand?
Apparently, the office has to get hold of the owner.
Okay.
And once we
I
have.
thought they rented out to people.
The franchise.
The franchise.
And but they have paid for the,
Yeah, they
for the
paid to.
box.
I don't understand why they're paying me so.
No, they have paid to build the box.
Oh,
So this kind of somewhat own it, you know.
interesting.
Okay, I'm doing a motion to adjourn.
Walker was very concerned about that, Dr. Levine.
That's a great idea.
Remember that?
Thanks.
Years and years.
60th and Broadway?
And on 9th Avenue. So right in front of.
No, I live in the, across the street. But it's a market and
Yeah.